Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We came back with another interesting, true, dark, and creepy rules story. Let's start. Rural Texas is full of strange places, but none stranger than Skyway Diner. It sits at the edge of a crumbling airstrip. They say the planes that land there aren't registered anywhere. Some aren't even from our world. I got hired for the night shift 2 weeks ago. The manager handed me a list of rules, 10 of them. At first I thought it was a joke. But on my first night, I learned the rules weren't to protect the diner, they were to protect me. The now hiring sign was so faded I almost missed it. It hung crooked in the diner's window, swaying in the hot Texas wind. The place looked like it hadn't been updated since the 1960s. Neon sign half-lit, peeling vinyl booths, and the faint smell of burnt coffee. Perfect for a graveyard shift, I muttered. The manager, Hank, sat at the counter smoking a cigarette. His yellow teeth and deep-set eyes gave him the look of a man who'd seen too much. "You here for the job?" he asked. "Yes, sir. I can work nights." "You'll have to. Ain't no one else dumb enough to take this shift." He slid a laminated sheet across the counter. "Read this. Follow it. Don't argue." I picked it up, expecting health codes or diner policies. Instead, it was a list of rules. The rules for the night shift, Skyway Diner. 1. Always greet the first customer after midnight with a smile, no matter how they look. If you forget, apologize immediately before they leave. 2. If a pilot comes in wearing aviator sunglasses, never ask where he's flying. Just serve him black coffee and keep your eyes down. 3. If you see a plane land on the runway but hear no engine sound, lock the diner doors for exactly 13 minutes. Do not look outside during this time. 4. The jukebox will play on its own at 1:15 a.m. Do not unplug it. Let it finish, even if the song isn't in English. 5. If a child enters alone and orders a chocolate milkshake, make it quickly but don't hand it to them directly. Leave it on the counter and step back. 6. Between 2 o'clock and 2:10 a.m. the lights will flicker. If they stay off for more than 30 seconds, go to the storeroom, close your eyes, and count to 100 before returning. 7. You may hear knocking on the back door. Never open it. The diner has no deliveries scheduled at night. 8. If you see an extra reflection in the coffee pot, smile at it and say, "We're full tonight." It will leave. 9. Never let a customer stay past 3:33 a.m. Politely ask them to leave. If they refuse, go to the bathroom mirror and whisper, "It's time." 10. When your shift ends at 5 a.m., do not leave through the front door. Take the kitchen exit and do not look at the runway no matter what you hear. I laughed. "This is a prank, right?" Hank didn't smile. "Kid, the last guy who broke Rule 3 disappeared. All we found was his apron in the parking lot. Still warm." I swallowed hard. At 12:01 a.m., the bell over the door jingled. A man entered wearing an old leather bomber jacket and scuffed boots. His skin looked waxy under the fluorescent lights, and his eyes were so pale they almost seemed white. "Coffee. Black," he rasped. I remembered Rule 1. I forced a smile even though my stomach churned. "Coming right up, sir." As I poured the coffee, his head tilted unnaturally like a bird. "You're new here?" "Yes, sir." "Let's see if you make it to morning." He sipped his coffee, never breaking eye contact. When he left, I realized I hadn't taken his payment. But I didn't want him to come back. Around 1:15 a.m., I was wiping down the counter when the jukebox came to life on its own. It played a haunting melody in a language I didn't recognize. At first, it was almost beautiful. Then the voices began. Whispers layered over the song. "Don't look outside. Don't look outside." Rule 4 said not to unplug it. So I sat perfectly still until the song ended. When the jukebox finally clicked off, I heard a faint screech outside the diner, like metal tearing. At 2:03 a.m., the lights blinked twice, then went out completely. Rule 6. Go to the storeroom, close your eyes, and count to 100. I stumbled in the dark as icy air crept across the floor. Somewhere in the shadows, I heard breathing. Then a voice, sweet and childish. "Mister, can you help me find my mommy?" I nearly answered, but my hand brushed the storeroom doorknob. I rushed inside, shut the door, and counted. When I opened my eyes, the lights were back on. I stepped out of the storeroom and froze. A little girl with long black hair stood at the counter. Her pale hands gripped the edge of the counter tightly. "Chocolate milkshake, please." My blood ran cold. Rule 5. Make it quickly, but don't hand it to them directly. Leave it on the counter and step back. As I turned toward the milkshake machine, I felt her eyes on my back. And I swear I saw her reflection in the stainless steel fridge. Except, she didn't have a face. That was my first night at Skyway Diner. In part 2, I'll tell you what happens if you break Rule 5, and why you must never, ever touch the child. And I'll reveal the horrifying secret of the silent planes that land outside. Do not forget to subscribe Dark Horror Bytes. And if you're ever near a lonely airstrip in Texas, don't stop for a bite after midnight. Here is the part 2 of my story. In part 1, I told you about my first night working at Skyway Diner, a lonely 24/7 joint beside an abandoned Texas airstrip. I was given 10 rules to follow. I thought they were a joke, until I saw the first customer after midnight and the jukebox played on its own in a language I couldn't recognize. At 2 a.m., the lights went out and I heard a child's voice in the dark. When the lights came back, she was standing at the counter. "Chocolate milkshake, please," she said. That was just the beginning. Her voice was soft, almost melodic. "Chocolate milkshake, please." My fingers shook as I grabbed the metal milkshake cup. Rule 5. Make it quickly, but don't hand it to them directly. Leave it on the counter and step back. I poured the milk and scooped in the ice cream, trying not to look at her. But every time I turned, she seemed closer. When I finally set the milkshake down and stepped back, she didn't move. Her black hair hung over her face like wet seaweed. Then I heard it, whispered in a voice not her own. "Why won't you look at me?" I gripped the counter's edge so hard my knuckles went white. Finally, she reached for the milkshake, her small hand curling around the glass. The diner's lights flickered, and just as suddenly as she appeared, she was gone. Only the milkshake glass remained. Empty. I thought the worst was over. Then I heard it, tires screeching softly outside. I glanced out the window and saw a plane taxiing down the cracked runway. But there was no engine sound. Rule 3 flashed in my mind. If you see a plane land on the runway but hear no engine sound, lock the diner doors for exactly 13 minutes. Do not look outside during this time. I hesitated for just a second too long. The diner's bell jingled violently. A man stepped inside in a pilot's uniform. He wore aviator sunglasses despite the hour. His skin was pale as wax. His movements stiff. Rule 2. If a pilot comes in wearing aviator sunglasses, never ask where he's flying. Just serve him black coffee and keep your eyes down. I tried to follow the rule. But when I placed his coffee on the counter, curiosity got the better of me. "So, where are you headed?" The diner went silent. The man didn't move. Then his lips curled into a too-wide grin. "Somewhere you don't want to go." The windows frosted over. My breath clouded in the air as he slowly removed his sunglasses. His eyes were hollow sockets, black and endless. The back door rattled. Knock, knock, knock. Rule 7. You may hear knocking on the back door. Never open it. The diner has no deliveries scheduled at night. But the knocking didn't stop. It grew louder, more desperate. Then a woman's voice called out, "Please, I need help. My baby, he's choking. Please open the door." I froze. My hand hovered over the deadbolt. Then I remembered Hank's warning, "That isn't a woman. That isn't a baby. Don't let them in." I backed away. The knocking stopped abruptly. But as I turned, I saw something in the reflection of the coffee pot. In the polished steel, there was an extra figure standing behind me. It was me, but smiling. Rule 8. If you see an extra reflection in the coffee pot, smile at it and say, "We're full tonight." It will leave. I forced a grin and whispered, "We're full tonight." The reflection smiled wider, impossibly wide. Then it melted into a black smear that dripped down the coffee pot surface. The lights flickered violently. Then the jukebox came alive again, blasting static. A voice whispered through the speakers, "You broke a rule, didn't you?" I looked toward the window. The soundless plane was still there, and something was climbing out of its door. It was tall, thin, wrong, and it was walking toward the diner. That was my second night at Skyway Diner. In part 3, I'll tell you what happens when you break the rules, and why no one survives past 3:33 a.m. And I'll reveal what's really landing on that runway. Sip your coffee and enjoy the last part of this story. And remember, never open the back door, no matter how much they beg. So let's start the last part. In parts 1 and 2, I told you about my first 2 nights working the graveyard shift at Skyway Diner, a rundown 24-hour diner by a forgotten Texas airstrip. The manager, Hank, gave me a list of strange rules to follow. Don't hand a milkshake directly to the child. Don't look outside if the plane lands without sound. Never open the back door. I tried to follow them, but I slipped. I asked the wrong customer the wrong question. And now something is coming for me. At 3:01 a.m., the diner was dead silent, but I could hear it. Heavy footsteps crunching over gravel. Closer, closer. The soundless plane was still parked outside, its door yawning open. The figure walking toward me was tall, skeletal, wearing the tattered remains of a pilot's uniform. I backed away until I hit the counter. The laminated rule sheet fluttered to the floor. The rules had changed. The rules, final revision. 11. If you've broken any of the previous rules, you must atone. Go to the storeroom mirror and whisper, "I accept my replacement." 12. If your reflection moves on its own, do not resist. It's time. 13. If the diner clock strikes 3:33 a.m. and you're still inside, you can never leave. I grabbed the paper, my hands trembling. No. I didn't ask to be part of this. But the diner clock ticked louder. 3:13 a.m. I had 20 minutes. Knock, knock, knock. The back door rattled violently. A voice hissed, "Carter, let me in. You've been chosen." I pressed my back to the wall, covering my ears. But the voice seeped through my skull. At 3:17 a.m., the jukebox came alive on its own, whispering secrets in static. This place was never meant for people. It's a feeding ground for the sky. I saw flashes in my mind. Planes landing on the runway without engines. Pale, hollow-eyed pilots stepping out. Diners before me replaced one by one until only their shadows remained. Hank's voice echoed in my head. The diner doesn't hire. It collects. At 3:23 a.m., I stumbled into the storeroom. The mirror was cracked, its surface rippling like water. My reflection smiled at me, but I wasn't smiling. "Say it," it whispered. "Say you accept." My breath fogged the glass. I don't accept." The lights flickered. The reflection reached out of the mirror. Its cold fingers brushed my cheek. At 3:29 a.m., I ran to the bathroom, clutching the rule sheet. Rule 9. If a customer stays past 3:33 a.m., go to the bathroom mirror and whisper, "It's time." But there were no customers. Only me. And yet, the mirror showed two of me. The second me spoke first. "It's time." At 3:33 a.m., the diner clock chimed. The doors slammed shut on their own. The windows turned black, reflecting only my face. I tried the kitchen exit. Locked. The laminated rules disintegrated in my hands. The reflection whispered, "There's only one way out." It raised a silver coffee pot. My face stared back from its surface, pale and hollow-eyed. I felt my body move on its own, reaching for the pot. As my hand touched the metal, the diner dissolved into static. I opened my eyes. I was standing behind the counter. The bell jingled. A young man stepped in, wide-eyed and nervous. Hank handed him a laminated rule sheet. "Follow the rules, kid, or you'll end up like the last guy." The last guy? Me. That was my final shift at Skyway Diner. Or maybe it was my first. If you're ever driving through rural Texas and see a diner by an airstrip, don't go inside. And if you do, never break the rules. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the story, then subscribe and give this video a like. Tell your thoughts in the comment section. If you have any true story topic ideas, you are free to write that.